Hello, I'm Fiona and I am Chair of the Regional Volunteer Support Network. I was asked to speak to you today about what we've been doing with the Future of Volunteering project, which I was lucky enough to be involved in. It's been a really lovely thing to be a part of. I think it's been really important for volunteers. Since the pandemic, we've gone through a lot of changes, and this has been a really positive step in terms of us feeling like NCT is really committed to volunteering and ensuring that volunteering is a fabulous experience for everybody who comes on board. So I'm going to talk to you about the different things that we did in each of the sessions. So co-design session 1 was about us meeting as a new team. So it was a mixture of volunteers and staff. So we all got to know each other. We then had talks from Sarah and from Angela and from Jenny Mann, who is volunteer manager at Homestart. We recapped what we've learned so far from the first part of the Future Volunteering project and what volunteering is like at the moment. And we talked about what the challenges would be and what we're kind of facing at the moment. We started co-design session 2 with a check-in, which is what we did for every session. So that's really nice. It's just a way of kind of starting off the process and seeing how everybody's feeling on that day, and just being mindful of how everybody's feeling. So it was always a really nice way to begin. We recapped in that session. We kind of looked at what we talked about before, and we prioritised 3 of the future stories that we talked about, and we decided that those were the 3 that we wanted to take forward and explore in more detail. We then worked in teams and we took a story each, and the idea was that we would turn it into a kind of metaphor. So we had to think about the kind of structure of volunteering, the different roles, how it would all be organised, and put it into a metaphor. And that was really fun. We came up with lots of different things. There was mushrooms, there was lily pads, there was bumblebees, and it was just a really lovely, creative, bouncing ideas around, kind of silly, but also, you know, really enjoyable. And it was a really lovely session, actually, and it meant that we could start to really think about how we could reimagine NCT. And that was really important, so I particularly enjoyed that session. So co-design session 3 was about recapping what we'd done so far. We were joined by wider members of the NCT network, and the idea in this session was to have a kind of stress test with the stories that we'd put together and the metaphors and the new ideas. We shared the 3 stories that had been brought to life by an illustrator, Hester Kitchen. I'm hoping you're all seeing them. They are absolutely beautiful. And it really helped us to kind of imagine and understand what each group had thought about in their metaphor and in their story. We then shared questions that needed to be addressed, because looking at somebody else's story was a good opportunity for you to say, well, hang on a second, if that's what volunteers do, then where does the team fit in and how does the staff work with them? And it was a really nice way of seeing what the other teams had done and asking those questions from a fresh perspective. We then worked in our teams to address the questions that we'd been given, to think about those different challenges and how we would manage them and overcome them in our story. And then we fed back to the teams, and we had to put we had to really kind of refine it down. So we had to talk about where the volunteers were in this, where the staff were in this, what tech was needed. You know, we had to really kind of bring it to life as if you know, if this was going to happen, this is literally what we would need to do. We then had our final session, which was the testing session. So we had our check-in and we had our recap, and we looked once more at the 3 concepts that we'd come up with. So each concept had like a description, it had a chart, like a structure to go with it, it had a volunteer kind of journey, and it had what each role would be, so kind of each persona. We then worked in smaller groups, and we the aim of that was to kind of give really, really detailed feedback for each of the concepts. So we put it into 3 categories. So we had the strengths of each concept, the challenges of each concept, and the builds, so what was needed to kind of build on it to make it even better. And that was really interesting, because we were kind of able to look at the really minute details. So we were kind of visualising it as volunteers. If this was our new structure, literally exactly what would we need. So that was a really good challenge and a really interesting exercise to complete. After the session, we were also able to fill in a short survey, which meant that we could give even more feedback, and it meant that we could clarify which of those 3 models would be the best one to take forward. Tayar and the team then reviewed everything. They looked at everything that we'd done and looked at all the feedback, and decided on the kind of final concept to take forward, the one that would be kind of tested and really looked at to see what will work and what won't work, and how we can kind of embed it in NCT volunteering. And that is the one that you're going to see at this meeting. I think it's been really great for volunteers to have had this opportunity to work on such an interesting project that kind of directly is going to affect us. It was great to be able to be seen and to be heard, and to feel listened to be able to input our own ideas, take the positives from all of our experiences, take the negatives as well, and bring all of those forward and try and come up with something that we really feel is going to make a massive difference, so that future volunteers, staff members, everybody involved in NCT can volunteer, have the experience and come away and think that was great, that was amazing, and I really enjoyed it, which is the whole point. So we are really looking forward to this, and I just want to say thank you to the board as well for allowing us this opportunity, because I think it's made a massive difference and it will change and revolutionise volunteering. So thank you.